the Shahiyat Azadi, the importance of it in my mind is that it's multiple layers of meaning.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of the elephant, literally, is in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
You know that story that all these blind people were touching an elephant, and one ends up touching the ear and thinks that it's some kind of a fabric. The other one touches the body and thinks it's a hefty wall. One of them is touching the tail and thinks it's some kind of a cord. So everyone, at the end, all of these people who are touching the same elephant, they have a very different perception of it. I see Shahiyat Azadi as that for the diaspora who has been away from Iran for 30 years. For them, it means the 1970s good life, which is very tragic because that good life is always in the past. But the discourse continues. I mean, you get wedding invitation with Shahiyat on it. You get credit card with Shahiyat on it.
Right.
You get all sorts of things with Shahiyat on it. But that's the discourse that is created by the diaspora about one layer of the meaning of the monument. Then there is the revolutionary meaning that is revived again and again whenever there is an uprising. And then there is the official Islamic Republic narrative about it that is performed through these annual military parades. And also, actually, maybe the most honest one is the one where Shahiyat Azadi has become a symbol of Tehran. Mm-hmm. In many venues, it is used by environmentalists and people who are concerned about poverty and shanty towns. You know, you have all these cartoons about where Shahiyat or Azadi is depicted, but then addresses the pollution problem in Tehran. It addresses the shanty towns of Tehran. It addresses the gap between the rich and the poor. And so there's that aspect of it, is sort of the activist on the ground who care about something beyond politics or history
But you know, the real or one of the real teachable moments of this conversation for me has been that the ascendance of this building to this legendary symbolic status is that the architecture is integral to that. That's so interesting to me. In other words, if I hear you correctly through this conversation, even if we took the same space and the same acreage and the open space and the same revolutionary history and the same intent to do this as a paean to the Shah and the monarchy originally, etc., but that the building looked like the Sears Tower or something, that it wouldn't be the symbol that it is today.
You're absolutely right. Yes.
Well, you're absolutely right. You're agreeing with yourself because I'm just clarifying. But I see what you're saying, and it's very. I mean, it puts quite an onus on architecture for shaping our history, then, doesn't it?
Yes, and one thing that is important is that the education and the institutions that went into making this monument. I mean, Hossein Amanat is a byproduct of the late 60s, early 70s architectural culture in Iran that itself had gone through a number of revolutionary changes. It had gone through changes. When Tehran University was established in 1934, the fine arts faculty, which had both an architectural school and a fine arts school for sculpture and painting and other medias, was very important, and the head of it was André Godard, a French architect and the head of the archaeological services. So he created a curriculum that was very French, based on the L'École des Beaux-Arts tradition. But then when other Iranians, like Mohsen Foroughi or Seyhoun, they took over, they were adamant about making it an Iranian institution with Iranian priorities and sending students to Yazd and Kerman and other places for students to look at Iran's architectural history, not sort of look at Parisian blueprints. By the time Amanat was designing this building, we already see a local indigenous architectural culture and architectural design And that's, I think, part of its success. And that's also part of why it wasn't destroyed, because it's a very Iranian monument, regardless of the political spectrum where you stand.